Hello friends, in this session we are going to learn how to construct a DFA by using a simple method. So first of all, how do we represent a DFA? We all know that DFA is represented with the help of a 5-tuple based element, which is Q summation delta Q naught F, where Q is the set of states, summation is the set of all input alphabets, delta is the transition function which represents the transitions from one state to another or at a particular input, Q naught is the initial state, and capital F is the set of final states. So if I categorize the construction of DFA, I would get broadly 3 cases, which is at least, exactly, at most. Now if I consider an example, I'll be able to explain it in a better manner. Considering this example, we have construct a DFA which accepts all the strings containing at least 3 A's with summation A comma B. Now over here he says that you need to construct a DFA which accepts all the strings containing at least 3 A's. Similarly, it could be containing exactly 3 A's or containing at most 3 A's. So for the first case that we have written over here, let's construct the DFA for the at least 3 A's case. Now first of all, the approach over here is to construct such a DFA. Just first of all find the most basic thing hidden in the question. Over here the most basic thing is 3 A's. So we need to construct a DFA which at least accepts a string containing 3 A's. So that means the shortest possible string over here is AAA. So I need to construct a DFA which has at least 3 A's, or I should say AAA in it, right? So for that, what will I do? I will first of all try constructing a DFA which accepts AAA as the simplest string, as the simplest possible string. So for that, what is the approach? I would first of all find which is the shortest possible string. The shortest possible string over here is AAA. So for constructing it, I would need one initial state, then the first A, another state, the second A, and another state, the last and the final, third A, and the last state. Now since simplest AAA string should be accepted, this becomes our final state. Now after that, we check for the other constraints. As you can see the question, construct a DFA which accepts all the string containing at least 3 A's. So there is no constraint on the occurrence of B. Therefore, whenever you have no constraint about an input, you construct it using self loops, right? So there will be a self loop over here, as it can start with B or it can start with A. Then there can be number of occurrences of B over here in the mid, similarly multiple occurrences of B over here, and it can also end with multiple B's. Now in the last state, we also need to define the transition for input A. Now since there is no constraint on A's that whether there should be a limited number of A's or anything, they just said that there should be minimum 3 A's, but there can also be A's, be strings with more A's, right? So we can also draw a self loop over here, that is, it can end with multiple number of A's. So this is how we construct a DFA for the case saying at least 3 A's. So this is the simplest method how we construct a DFA for the at least case. And now let's see how do we do it for exactly 3 A's. Again, for exactly 3 A's, the procedure remains the same. First of all, we try finding the most basic thing, which is again constructing a string which the shortest string, I should say, the shortest string over here will also be what? It will be AAA, right? So shortest string will be AAA. Again, the first thing what I did would be remaining the same. So shortest string is AAA. First thing was just constructing this. So with this A is complete. Now again it was exactly 3 A's, right? So A should be accepted. This becomes the final state. After exactly, I need to see what exactly actually means. Exactly means that we'll be having only 3 A's in a string. That is there cannot be A's more than 3, and A's cannot be less than 3 as well. So that means no more A's can occur. Now what does that mean? Now since the first state I have already defined the transition for A, second is also defined, third is also defined, but over here Q3 I have not defined the transition of A, but I also know that no more A's can occur. So what I'll do, I'll mark a transition like this to a state, let's say Q4, and I'll make sure that no transition of A from this state enters this actual DFA. So what is this? This is basically a trap state. Now for marking its occurrence on input A, what will I do? I will make a self loop. Similarly for B's occurrence, I'll make a self loop again, because I should also make sure that it should not happen that with a B occurrence it enters my DFA. So this is your trap state. Now let's complete our DFA. Again, there was no constraint on B, so self loops will be there. So this is how we complete our second case, which was about exactly 3 A's. Now the final case, which is at most 3 A's. In case of at most, we need to first of all understand its meaning. At most basically means at most 3 A's. If I say either there are 0 A's, 1 A, 2 A's, or 3 A's. That's it. At most means maximum of 3 A's. So these all cases should be obeyed. So the smallest possible string over here is 0 A's. But again the most basic thing again over here is 3 A's. So I'll construct the most basic thing first. Approach remains same, right? So Q0, A, Q1, A, Q2, A, Q3. Now let's decide upon the final states. As you can see, 0 A's should also be accepted, and again there is no constraint on B, so the initial state itself becomes the final state. Then 1 A should also be accepted. This also becomes the final state. 2 A's also, 3 A's also, and what about more than 3 A's? It should not be accepted, so this becomes our trap state again. And A and B transitions as we did in previous case. Now let's complete this original DFA. Self loops on B, since there is no constraint on B. So this completes our DFA for the final case. So this was all for this session. I hope the session would have been a great informative one. In case you like the video, please like it. In case you have any doubts, please drop your doubts in the form of comments in the section below. And please keep following the channel for more upcoming videos. Thank you.